Namaste and hello. Welcome to my podcast, The Heart Speaks with Bishes Subba. And today in this episode, I shall be reading a story written by me. And the title of the story is Cherry Blossom, a memory of unrequited love. It is one of those chilly evenings of November. Holding a cup of tea each in our hands, Bisu and I sat down at our daily canteen. After a long day of our tiresome lectures, the canteen was our recharging point. Nothing seemed to comfort us, especially during cold evenings, more than the sight of the vapor flying from a hot cup of tea. If there is elixir in this earth, it has to be tea. "How was your day, bhai?" asks Bimal Daju as he pulls a stool and sits beside us. Bimal Daju is the owner of the canteen. Taking a sip from his cup with his usual sound of satisfaction, which is a sign of compliment that the tea is good, Bishu says, "Tiresome." Something is quite different about Bishu today. He is one of the most cheerful guys I have ever met in college. He is always laughing and making everyone laugh till their stomach hurts with his clever sense of humor. A man full of energy. Something seems to trouble him. The usual smile on his face is missing. He is staring outside at the cherry blossom tree. I pull his shoulder and ask, "Hey, are you all right?" He turns towards me and Bimal Daju and says, "Have you guys ever fallen in love?" I am quite surprised with this sudden question. I have never heard him talk about love. With a confused look in my eyes, I reply, "There was this one girl in my school days whom I had a crush on, but I guess that doesn't count." As if agreeing to me, Bishu turns towards Bimal Daju and says, "And you, Daju?" "I was a hero of my time. Girls used to fall for me." "Oh." Bishu turns towards me and says, "Do you wish to hear my love story?" Being a kind of person who is always excited to listen to others' life stories, I in an instant say yes, moving closer to him, and so does Bimal Daju. He starts. "Do you remember that during the first years of college, I used to be a totally different person? Someone with a very gloomy aura?" I reply with a nod of my head. I do remember him when I first met him in the college. He always kept to himself, didn't talk much. In fact, I never thought that we would turn out to be such good friends. I do not know how, but as time passed, he totally changed. He, in fact, is now the most cheerful guy of our class." He continued. "Well, I was going through a very hard phase of my life at that time. Now that's a completely different story which I will share someday with you. Just know that it was a very difficult phase. My heart needed some healing. So one fine day I had planned a lunch with my best friend Zia at our favorite restaurant. She came there with one of her friends. She acquainted me with her friend. Nothing much special happened. After the lunch we said goodbye to each other. So the days were passing as usual. I was still trying to fight through the hard times, trying to heal myself. So one evening as this, I was just staring at a cherry blossom tree as I heard someone calling my name. I turned around to find out she was Jia's friend, the one that I met some weeks back. She said, "How are you doing?" I just replied with a nod, still staring at the beautiful tree dressed in beautiful pink. She continued, "Isn't it beautiful? I always wait for this time of the year just to see the sakura in bloom." I just looked at her and smiled. "Let's grab coffee." Before I could respond, she grabbed me by my wrist and started heading forward. We sat at the cafe and started engaging in a conversation. I must admit that though it was only our second meeting, it felt as if I had known her for many years. I did not know why I did not wish to depart. I wished to keep on talking to her about her. I wanted to know more about her. Before we said goodbye, I asked if we could meet again sometime. She, with a beautiful smile, said yes and gave me her number. Yes, I had her number with me. I wished to call her that night, but feeling awkward, decided to text her. I do not know why was I feeling so nervous just to text her a hi back then. Well, I suppose I know now. I got a reply from her, and so began our daily texting. I do not remember when our texting turned into daily phone calls and phone calls into our meeting. I started falling for her. Every second I spent with her made me feel so happy. I began to realize that my heart had started feeling. One day we planned to go for a movie. We were having a great time watching the movie, or maybe I was, when she received a phone call from her dad. So she had to leave in between, and well, as you must be thinking, so did I. I haven't watched that movie completely till today. So the days were passing like this. I started to feel a deep connection with her. I always thought about her. Her friend was in love. I wanted to confess to her about my feelings. I wanted to tell her how much she meant to me, how much I loved her. But there was a small problem. I wasn't sure about her feelings towards me. The only way to find out was to confess to her. I believe the words written in the letter can express our emotions more than our lips. So I decided to write her a letter. What surprises me is that I did not have to think about the words that I would use to express my feelings in the letter. Every word kept on flowing continuously. It seems that when we truly love someone, we need not think much when we express our feelings towards them. The letter was complete. I texted her if we could meet the next day for coffee, to which she agreed. I couldn't sleep that night. So the day finally came when I would let her know how I felt about her. Something was quite different about her that day. She was looking more beautiful. Dressed in pink kurta and with her jhumkas, her beauty was enough to make a man die with love. After our coffee, we left the cafe and walked together. The evening looked beautiful that day, and at a distance there was the very cherry blossom tree where we met for the second time. I do not know whether she noticed the tree that day or not, as she was trying to stop a taxi. I plucked a twig with flowers from the tree and handed it to her with the letter. With a confused look, she held the letter and the twig. Before she could open the letter, a taxi stopped. She got into it and said me a goodbye. I kept staring at the taxi as it became smaller and smaller and smaller and finally disappeared. I too went to my daily taxi stand and got into the taxi and went to my room. It was past 8 o'clock at night and I still did not receive any message or call from her. I was too afraid to call her. With the passing of each second, my nervousness grew more and more. Suddenly, I heard the message notification tone from my mobile. Without wasting a second, I reached for the phone on the table, and there it was, a text from her. With my heart beating fast, I opened her text. I do not know why, but deep down I was a little happy. Maybe I was expecting a positive reply from her. And then all I remember is my vision being blurred from the tears that had welled up in my eyes. Tears of pain, tears of sadness. I still remember what was written in it. I know that you have got genuine feelings for me, But right now, I do not want to be tied in any kind of bond. Maybe this heart has yet to heal. I am sorry, but I cannot accept your love. You are really a great human. You deserve better than me. How would I make her understand that I didn't want anyone better but her? With my hands still shivering, I texted her if we could meet tomorrow for one last time, to which she agreed. I remember me crying that night. It was that moment that I realized how much you meant to me. Love does bring even the strongest man down to his knees. So the day arrived when I would maybe meet her for the last time. We went to our usual cafe. I didn't know what I was supposed to say. I kept gazing at her eyes. Oh, how beautiful they were. I wanted to hear the reason from her. I wanted to know if I was the one who had done some wrong, but I couldn't even utter a word. She had said that she didn't have feelings for me, but I could see love in her eyes. I remember me saying to her, the words that you are speaking aren't matching the emotions that I see in your eyes. I do not know why, but I could sense some pain in her eyes. It seemed as if she would burst out into tears at any moment. So I changed the topic. We left. We walked some distance before parting away. I wished that the path to never end. How I wished the time to freeze, the world to freeze except the two of us. As we said our final goodbye, I said, if in the future you wish to start from the point we left, without a second thought, tell me. I will always be waiting for you. We will continue our story from where we left. Tears welled up in both of our eyes. She gave me a hug and whispered in my ears, do not wait for me. You deserve better. And that was our final meeting. I have not seen her since then. Isn't it funny how some people try to better themselves for the other person, while the other person lives telling them that they deserve more? Bishu stands from his stool, pulls out his wallet from his pocket and pays the tea. He says, I am in a hurry. We'll meet you tomorrow. He carries his bag and leaves. He goes and stands in front of the cherry blossom tree and gazes at it for some time and then goes. I am staring at him as he becomes smaller and smaller and finally disappears in the thin air. I say goodbye to Bimal Daju and leave for my home. I get into the taxi. As the taxi moves forward, I lean my head on the glass of the closed window. I think, is Bisu still waiting for her? Will he ever fall in love with any other woman? How does it feel to fall in love? How will my first love be? With all these thoughts, I close my eyes and try to relax on my ride back home. Isn't it surprising that how even a tree brings back all the memories? Now, whenever I will see a cherry blossom tree, it will always remind me of the unrequited love. Thank you. We'll meet you again in the next episode of The Heart Speaks with Bishes Subba.